Hey, want to skip those ads and get early access and bonus episodes of all Banana for Scale shows? Hop on over to truestory.fm/join and discover all the cool perks that come with being a member of the Banana for Scale family. Coming up on The Devil's Details, hello? Is anybody there? Have I been left behind? It's the Rapture, Part 1. Rapture? Damn near killed her. Rapture, Part 1. Can you imagine, like, us being left behind and still doing the show to an audience of like, nobody?
Yes.
It's very easy, actually.
It's
Yeah.
very easy.
Maybe the Antichrist tunes in, every now and then. Have they gotten to me yet? No.
And he leaves a 4-star rating for some reason.
That's how you know he's the Antichrist. Not no review, not 1 star,
Nope.
4 stars.
4 stars. He's like really solid. I listen every week. My favorite podcast. 4 stars.
4 stars. Right. But like in his review, he won't tell you like what you need to get that last star, which is to fall down and worship him. Good morning, Star, and welcome to another episode of The Devil's Details, a show where we dig up, decipher, dissect, and deconstruct the many forms of the devil. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Keenan Diaz.
And we're just two lost souls hitchhiking down the highway to hell. And yeah, folks, this is the second episode of our new season, all about the end of the world. Last time we talked about the history of the book of Revelation, and we're going to go through that book chapter by chapter and verse by verse. But before that, we got to talk about the rapture, which is not in that book. And I know that might be surprising to some folks, but yeah, the idea of a rapture came a little bit later, much like all of our favorite devil stuff. And so today we're going to talk about how and why the rapture has become such an established part of Armageddon.
Yeah, I think if you go, at least around America, I'd love to hear if we had like Australian listeners or British listeners, like what they think.
That's what they call it, the rapture. Sorry.
Yeah, but if you go to America and you ask people what do you think happens during the rapture, those who have heard of it, because not everyone will have, but those who have heard of it will talk about everybody waking up one day and then a significant portion of the world has been disappeared, and oftentimes like with their clothes and their pacemakers left behind, as if they've been like their bodies have been spirited away.
Yeah.
And then finding out that the people who are left behind, dun dun dun.
Why did you say it like that, Keenan?
That the people who are left behind. That those people are about to face great tribulation because they are not the true believers in the proper version of Christ.
Right, the tribulation, like with a capital T, like it's an event.
Goddamn T.
Yeah.
And oftentimes this is like people who thought that they were believing Christianity the right way and discovering that they haven't.
Yep.
They have been left behind. That's right. Which becomes the title of a series of books called Left Behind, a series of movies. So that is a common term here. We are 1 degree away from the Left Behind movie series because our acting teacher Clarence Gilliard, rest in peace, he was in the first Left Behind movie and stopped making them. He passed away. Can I say this now? He said he didn't want to keep making them because he discovered how anti-Catholic they were. Like in the first one, he was like, all right, sure, whatever. And then I asked him, like, hey, how come you stopped doing that? You could have been in all these. You could be doing a Left Behind movie a year for like 10 years. And he said, because they're anti-Catholic. And he was a very devout Catholic.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So I remember sitting in on some classes with Clarence and just being like just amazed at his presence and his ability to kind of like capture all of us with how he taught. Yeah,
he was the most Christ-like person I ever knew. Like just very kind and calm and like would give you what you needed in whatever moment you're with them and all of that. But yeah, so and then they remade those movies eventually with the Left Behind with Nicolas Cage.
With Nick Cage, okay.
Yes,
I see.
Instead of Kirk Cameron.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like a whole like subgenre of rapture-y, Left Behind type movies. And then like the biggest recent splash of that was made by people who I don't believe in the rapture, who did The Leftovers, the book and the movie. And now when it is like a small percentage, like 2% of the world disappeared, but then everyone else they never quite answer whether that is the rapture or not.
Right.
But that is like it's about like, hey, how do you deal with that, knowing that maybe you were in the wrong all this time and like missing these 2% of people.
Yeah, and I like what you say. Like, I mean, we're going to go into it a little bit later in this episode, and then in some following episodes about how, the Catholics did not, and I guess still do not, look at this as canon.
Right.
Yeah. So
but I think there's a significant part of like lay Catholics who have just been drawn into it in America because it has become a big cultural phenomenon.
Right. Like lay Catholics, meaning like kind of like casual Catholics.
Yeah, not listening to the dogma of the Catholic Church, but like being like, oh, it turns out that to be a good Christian in America, you have to believe in this rapture thing, and it's everywhere.
Yeah. And we're going to get into that as well. But yeah. So okay. Like Keenan is alluding to, not every Christian denomination believes in a rapture. The more we looked into this, the idea seems to be almost exclusively held by a specific group of Christians known as Evangelicals. Now, some Evangelicals believe this rapture is going to happen pre-tribulation. That is before all the bad stuff happens, right? Before all that happens, God is going to scoop up all the good people who, I guess, now get like front row seats to the rest of the show, right? Others believe it will happen post-tribulation, again with a capital T, or during the tribulation. So somewhere in the timeline of, and we have a rough timeline of this whole thing. The Antichrist's rise to power, Christ's return, Christ's resurrecting of all the believers, his dispensing of justice to all the sinners, his defeat of both the Antichrist and the devil, and the establishing of the 1,000-year reign in Earth, or on Earth, aka the Millennial Kingdom, where it's just like 80s and 90s nostalgia as far as the eye can see. No.
So a lot of the different sects within evangelicalism, if you aren't an American, you might have maybe have heard about them as like being born again. That's a big part of evangelicalism, right? But so the timeline is a little bit different in all these different versions as far as I can see of like what happens when. But something that's pretty common is that they all tend to see the rapture as happening like all at once, or like it's not like something that sweeps across the earth, or as the time zones go or something like that. It seems to be like happening all at once, and sometimes people can witness people floating away into the air, and sometimes you wake up and everyone's gone. Or in the Nick Cage movie version, people wake up being on a plane and one of the pilots is gone, or all the pilots are gone, I think. Okay,
well that's even worse.
I was just thinking, I think that'd be more dramatic. I believe that because Nick Cage is a pilot, so if I'm remembering correctly, but I think he's a pilot who's a passenger, and then he wakes up and like, you got to go up there.
Okay.
They've been raptured.
Right. Like, is there a doctor in the house? No, they've all been taken. Is there a pilot in the house? I happen to be a pilot and a passenger.
Right.
Right.
And they're like, oh shit, it's Nick Cage.
And he says, I can't operate on this plane. No. But yeah. So that's how it goes. Like, he saves everybody by like. He is the pilot who is able to.
Yeah, I guess I should rewatch that movie for this season. But yes, I believe so. I believe that's how it worked out.
Gotcha. Yeah. I know some people who are big fans of the books. I have not read them. But yeah, I'm familiar with kind of the idea.
And I'd love you to see the American Dad version of the Rapture.
Oh, okay.
22 minutes long, and there's no Nicolas Cage. So
wow.
Some win, some loss.
Yeah, right. Wait, are we saying that Nick Cage in Armageddon is a good thing or not?
Absolutely. I mean, not if I were in the Armageddon, I wouldn't want him to be the hero. But if I'm watching a movie, I would rather have Nick Cage in a movie than not.
If I was left behind, I would want some company. I would and he would be a great He was like, oh, the sky is on fire.
Oh, this current trauma is bringing up a lot of my relevant backstory.
Yeah. I'm related to Francis Ford Coppola.
Don't ask me how, I don't remember.
Yeah. And I played Dracula once, so, it's kind of, a little bit meta. Anyway. He's in Dead by Daylight. He's one of the survivors you can play as.
Oh.
And it's not like you have like Laurie Strode or Steve Harrington from Stranger Things, and then you just have Nick Cage.
Good, exactly, perfect.
And when you murder him, he's like, ah! So it's great.
Great.
Wait, like what horror movie was he in? Because it's all horror icons.
The Wicker Man?
Oh, okay.
I guess we go, oh, not the bees, the bees!
Are we just like because it's sounding just like what's his name? Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, it's Jimmy Stewart. We decided that a long time ago.
Okay.
Nick Cage is just a Jimmy Stewart impression.
Okay, there we go.
But saying insane things that Nick Cage would,
yes.
that Jimmy Stewart would never say. Yeah.
Right. Well, Clarence, you're an angel. Well, I'm Castor Troy. Anyway. But okay. So.
Oh, let me get you one more.
Okay.
Do you like the moon, Mary? Do you want me to steal the Declaration of Independence?
There we go. There we go. But okay, so this belief is referred to as a dispensational premillennialism. And I'm looking at that word, and it's still hard not to stumble. Dispensational premillennialism. That is a good red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. Yeah. But it's the most common theology amongst American evangelicals. They believe Jesus will not just return. They believe Jesus will have not just a second coming, but a third. The second happens in the rapture, and then the third happens at the finale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's right. I haven't thought about that, but yeah, he comes during the rapture and then disappears again. I guess because the picture I get is him up there kind of guiding things, but you're right. Mostly he doesn't. Mostly he lets people fight it out on Earth. And yeah, okay. So there's 3 of them.
Yeah,
that's right.
According to this version.
Right. Yeah. No, even though so we're talking about evangelicals broadly, but that's part of the point of evangelicals is that you have a personalized relationship with Christ, and so that's why there are so many different versions across America, like so many different sects and so many different denominations.
Yeah. And so that word dispensational, that refers to how God's relationship with man has undergone phases or dispensations throughout history. Each stage is unique in how God relates to humanity, and it has been divided into 7 phases, and each of them have a name. So the first one is innocence, and this is the Adam and Eve stage in Eden before sin, right? Like living in perfect communion with God, right? So that's the innocence stage.
Pretty sweet.
Right? Yeah. Then you got antediluvian, and this is from the fall of Adam and Eve to Noah's flood. Humanity is governed by conscience, but increasingly corrupt. Right? So
antediluvian just means before the flood.
Deluge, right? Got antediluvian. Wait, before, right. Yeah. And then you got human government. So that's from Noah to Abraham, right? God establishes human authority to restrain evil through government, right? Yeah. Then you got patriarchal. That's from Abraham to Moses. God works through promises made to the patriarchs and their descendants. Right? So you got like Abraham, Isaac, Moses, all of those guys.
He begets people.
Right, it's the begats, right? And then you got Mosaic law. That's the next stage. That's from Moses to Christ. So humanity is under the Old Testament law and the covenant system, right? And then you got the church. And this is from the Pentecost to the Rapture. This is the age of grace where salvation comes through faith in Christ. We are here. Like if there was a map, they'd be like, you are here, right?
Okay.
So from Pentecost to the Rapture. So we're living in the era of the church.
Gotcha. I had to look up what Pentecost means. And I've heard it all over, like Pentecostal this, Pentecostal that, right? But the Pentecost is the 50 days after Easter, so after Christ's death, when the Holy Spirit goes down and kind of takes it over from there.
Right. Yeah. So that's where we are, folks. And there's one more. So we're on the penultimate stage of this, right? Because the next one is the millennial kingdom, right? And this is Christ's future 1,000-year reign on earth after his second coming. Or third coming.
That does sound like a wonderful place to be, the millennial kingdom.
Yeah, right?
I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
You're a millennial.
Hey, are we like... It's... People have done a worse job interpreting the Bible. I think we can look at this and be like, wow, that's talking exactly about us, right?
Right. Avocado toast everywhere. There's no diamonds. Everyone's quiet quitting. No one uses paper towels.
Yeah.
We have pets instead of children. Pretty sweet.
Yeah. Everything is woke, which is actually very good.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. It's weird how that is used derogatorily, but whatever.
Because anything that you say is nice, there's someone online who will make it a weakness. Yes. Is it
like it's like, oh, you guys are just so like compassionate with a capital C.
Right.
It's like, okay.
Right. You're so aware of systemic problems that you want to fix. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're so empathetic. Jeez. Oh, you're so kind. All right. Okay. Yeah, anyway. And folks, like I said, most people do not adhere, or most Christians, let's say, do not adhere to this view. This is strictly an American evangelical thing. In fact, the belief in the rapture is not promoted amongst Catholics, like we said, nor can you find it in most Protestant or Orthodox Christian denominations. So how is this idea so loud? How is it so popular if it makes up such a small part of all Christendom? Right? Well, American evangelicals make up the largest Christian group in the U.S. It affects our culture and our politics immensely. This gives the illusion that this idea of the rapture is more accepted than it really is. It has been called, quote, perhaps the most resilient theological movement in American history. Right? So if it's big in America, so it must be big everywhere else, because America's number one, right? Right?
Last I checked, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see.
But no, it's like it's that idea that Americans, it's like we invented freedom, right? America, what is America unique for? Freedom. It's like, well, there's freedom in other countries as well. You know?
We used to be best at higher education, like that statistically was true. People would come to our country to get college educated.
Right. Like places like Harvard.
Right. Yeah. That might not be around anymore.
Yeah. No. But yeah, it has even influenced our foreign policy, folks. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is evangelical and speaks openly about it. And of course, now with this current administration, we have even more evangelical voices adding to the conversation.
Right. I think it's kind of a chicken and egg thing about like why are so many politicians on the right in America big into this version of
specifically on the right?
Yeah. Oh yes, definitely, specifically on the right. And I think it is a little bit self-fulfilling prophecy, chicken and the egg, because the evangelicals in the 1960s and 70s who believed in this version of the apocalypse started then, and their readings of Revelation started then saying, well, we need to find power politically in America in order to influence world events, etc. So I think there's a little bit of this, this cycle, this recycling cycle.
Right. So which came first? Yeah.
Yes.
And remember, in our last episode, we were talking about that. We were talking about having people in government positions making global decisions.
Right.
To it sounds crazy, bring about the end times.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So.
And to be sure that it's in place properly, because they think that it's prophesized, but that we need to help that. And then that would influence like the Reagan administration, and then, the relationship between Reagan and the churches, and then that would become a cycle as well.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So where did this pre-tribulation rapture idea even come from, right? If not in Revelation, then where did we get this idea? So, folks, much like our devil character, it was created by mixing and matching different passages from other parts of the Bible and, other non-biblical texts.
Yeah, I like this season because Lester says we have to read the book of Revelation. I say, great, I'll do that. And then it turns out we have to read all these other books.
Yeah, right.
in the Bible, yes, to make it all make sense.
Yeah, it's like an onion. It's like an ogre. Right.
Books of the Bible, frankly, even as a trivia nerd, I have not heard of. So sorry, Christians, I hadn't heard of some of these books.
Yeah, I'll take Thessalonians for 500, Alex. No, wait. It would be like, I'll take the Ssollonians.
That's Thessalonians.
Don't you backtalk to me, Trebek. That's. The character of Sean Connery eventually is going to be more known than Sean Connery.
Yeah, exactly.
Much like the character of Nick Cage. But okay, so yeah, probably the most cited passage in the Bible to kind of back up this pre-tribulation rapture idea is 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 15 through 17, and I have that here. So, quote. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. Prevent or precede is either translation works.
So we that are alive will not precede those who are asleep.
Yes, right. And asleep we're taking to mean dead. Right. And then 16. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Right. Trump meaning trumpet.
It's right there.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Oh, God.
Right there. God damn it.
Donald John Trump, your favorite
like,
biblical character.
Just pass.
The Trump of God.
Let's just read it and get through it. And no, but we had to stop. We had, Jesus. Yeah, it does say trump of
Trump of God.
meaning trumpet.
It's right there.
That's okay. And then 17, verse 17. Then we, which are alive and remain, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. All right. Okay, so this is famously one of the most confusing passages in the entire New Testament. Scholars hate it.
I don't think I understood it, that first one, until you read it out. I've been reading it, until you read it aloud to me just now. Now I understand what it's saying.
Yeah, I think it needs to be read like aloud, right?
Okay, great.
But also, okay, so this part of it, right? Quote, caught up in the clouds together with the Lord in the air, right?
Right.
This is what everyone's saying, oh, this is the rapture. This is what's going to happen. Everybody's going to be caught up, quote, caught up in the clouds, right? But nobody can agree what this actually means. But okay, let's break it down. So this passage comes from a letter that Paul wrote to a church that was worried that Christ had not returned yet, right? So like even back in those times, right, people were convinced that Jesus was going to come back in their lifetime. And I guess like the further back in time you go, the more believable that would be, you know? Like I imagine like the apostles, right? Peter and Simon. No, those were the same people.
Simon and Theodore.
No. Peter and Andrew and other Simon, like they might have. What I'm saying is they might have thought that Jesus was coming back like in their lifetimes.
I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like at what point did Christians start thinking of it as a thing that's going to happen like way in the future? You know?
One of the things. One of the ways that these early Christians distinguished themselves from Jews in their lifetime was that the Jews who were still around thought that that Christ was not the Mashiach, not the Messiah. Right. And these Christians said, like, no, we've seen all the prophecies come true with Christ except for, him coming back again. Right. Like, everything else is there. So this must be happening. And then, hundreds of years go by. And that could be very difficult. I was also reading that Thessalonians is maybe one of the earliest written parts of the New Testament that we have, obviously, that survived, and that Paul might have been writing these people in Thessaloniki in Greece who were Gentiles who had converted, so not even Jews who because they would consider themselves as part of that same lineage, but because he talks about in Thessalonians like giving up your idols. And so this is like writing to them and being like, hey, like you made a big change by becoming Christians, and that's part of the reason I'm writing, I think, is to like, hey, stay with it. Like this is, I understand your sacrifice.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, like, and that makes sense because like a person who is getting into the religion is going to have questions about. It's like, wait a minute. Right. So you're saying that, and they're not going to be familiar with the religion that Christianity grew out of.
Right.
Aha, I see. Okay. But yeah, like this church that Paul was writing to was worried, right? Like Jesus wasn't back yet, right? They were specifically concerned about like the good people who had already died before he was supposed to come back, right? And so 1 Thessalonians is basically Paul reassuring them that even, quote, the dead in Christ will rise. They'll be brought back to life to witness his second coming, right?
So even if you pass away before this happens, don't worry.
Right. So he's saying, yeah, don't worry about that. Here's why, right? That's what First Thessalonians is. Now, many folks, including scholar Helmut Kester, I think is how you pronounce his name, believe that this is that the way that Paul is describing it with the caught up in the clouds and everything like that, right, is actually referencing some ancient imperial military imagery, especially because Paul uses a specific word in Greek, parasang, which has a very unique and specific purpose. You don't use this word except in the context of this one cultural thing that everybody was familiar with, and that is the welcoming of a king or a foreign dignitary. Right. And so here's what happens. Like when a royal delegation approaches a city, a messenger is going to blast a trumpet. A trumpet.
I didn't say anything.
I didn't say anything either. Alerting all of the citizens to come out of the city to meet this visiting king. And what's more, there's an entourage of, I guess, like VIPs who get to go out and greet the king first, right? They are not prevented or preceded by the rest of the citizens. So let's go back and read that little part of the passage, right? For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep, or shall not precede them which are asleep. So that's what he's saying, is that the dead are also going to meet the King, Jesus, and they will go first.
and we don't get any kind of special standing with the Lord because we have lived. Like
right.
if you pass away and it's equal.
Yeah, we which are alive are not going to be treated any differently from
right.
those who are asleep. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I get it now. Lester, you taught me.
Look at that. Yeah. So this entourage of VIPs, they're not prevented or preceded by the rest of the citizens,
mm-hmm.
right? Then everyone would accompany the king and escort him through the gate back into the city,
mm-hmm.
right? So they don't go with him,
mm-hmm.
and that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Another clue is that in the passage, with the quote, meet the Lord in the air, Paul uses the Greek word apantesis, I think is how you say it, for meet, for the verb meet, right? Which is specifically used for the act of going out to meet a dignitary or a monarch from another kingdom, right? So that's even more proof that this is worded like a delegation of emissaries going to meet the emperor,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. What's interesting to me about this, I don't know this cultural thing that they do to bring everybody out, but like mm-hmm. that does remind me of like working at Target, and then like some vice president of all of Target comes, and we're supposed to go greet him like we care about him at all, So like basically,
the vice president, he's coming. Yeah.
right. So basically, like
the CEO, John Target, is.
Right, he's here today. Oh,
mm-hmm.
yeah. But so it's like, okay, everybody march out, go meet this other king. Like,
mm-hmm.
I'm never going to go to that kingdom. Like, I'm not allowed to, and I'm never going to interact with this person again. But like, my boss is basically like making me like show up and like, hey, we're so glad you're here. Yay.
Yeah,
and then go. Back
and you might be part of like the VIP entourage that gets to, go up and meet him in the air. Or the parking lot,
Right. What do we get out of this?
Yeah.
Right. And then we take all this time to like go meet him, and then no one's picking up the shoes in the shoes department.
Yep.
And it's got extra work when I go back.
Well, all the shoes have been left behind, Kim.
But instead of reaping and sowing and pulling a well water, they're going out and meeting this king, and then all that work just waiting for them when they get back.
Yeah. Or maybe this is the end of work and the beginning of eternal. Lunchtime.
Yeah, it's Hawaiian Shirt Day.
Yeah. And every continent shall be Hawaii, and those will be the only shirts. Yeah. No. But yeah, so back to this passage.
Right.
So the last part of that passage, we will be with the Lord forever. Right. Paul never specifies where. Right? He is very, very careful to use a word in Greek that specifically means the lower part of the sky, which we translated to English as we will meet him in the air. Mm-hmm. Right? But Paul specifically used that word to let us know that no, we're not going to go meet him in heaven, because there's a different word for that. He's coming from heaven, and we meet him in the air like halfway.
Okay.
So we're meeting him outside of our city, right? AKA the earth. Mm-hmm. But we're not meeting him in his city. We're meeting him like outside the gates of our city.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And then we go back to him, and then we escort him into our city. Mm-hmm. Right. We don't like stay with him up in the air. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So all that means, it doesn't say anywhere that they're going to stay up there in the air with Jesus. Right. Mm-hmm. Which is the popular opinion by American evangelicals, that we're all going to get scooped up and we're going to meet the Lord in the air. Right. But it's not a homecoming for us. It's like the best of the best human representatives arrive in the air to escort Jesus down to earth, right? And so Kester says this interpretation, which is closer to the actual original language, sort of debunks the idea of a rapture, right? Paul wasn't writing about the rapture, much as some folks want that to be true, right? And like I said, folks, this is this was such a common part of the culture back in the day, right? That's why Paul is describing it in this way. He's basically saying to, the Thessalonians, he's like, like we always do whenever a king comes to town, right? That's how it's going to be when Jesus comes, right? And the dead are going to rise and they're going to go meet him. And then we're all going to party on earth, right? And and he's answering the question about the people who have already died before Jesus returns. He said those people will be like the VIPs who get to meet him first, but we're all going to come out and meet him in the clouds and then welcome him back to earth, right? And we've actually seen this custom played out in the Gospels, folks. Remember how everyone welcomed Jesus into Jerusalem with the palm leaves, right? That's exactly what this is, right? The reason they're doing that, and the reason that it made the Pharisees angry, is because that specific kind of welcome is reserved only for kings, right? Not even for them, the Pharisees, right? And to have this kind of spectacle in a Roman-occupied city, it's like, what are we saying here, right? Like that's going to make both the Pharisees and the Romans a little bit nervous, right? That they're welcoming Jesus into the city like they would do for a king.
Mm-hmm. Right. But that's interesting. Yeah, answering these questions to them about what's going to happen because, like,
and using a cultural landmark that everybody understands.
Yeah,
and that we don't understand today.
Oh, that's a really good point. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking about, like, this, it's not tragic exactly, but, like, I always, whenever I get to this part of, like, the Ten Commandments movies or something like that, I always have this sense of melancholy of the old generation has to die off before the new generation is allowed to go on to the land of milk and honey, And, like, it's always been like, oh, yeah, that was this melancholy, like, sacrifice of Moses and Miriam and Aaron and all of them. Like, they die. They don't get to go in.
Yeah.
But here, this is much more like good news. It doesn't matter if you pass away, as long as you stay true to Jesus, you'll come with us.
Everybody's coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that like I think we talked about in when we were doing our Paradise Lost season, the original idea. And again, I don't want to misquote, but it sounded like at least the ancient Hebrews believed they didn't have this idea of heaven so much as they had. The idea that the Mashiach was going to restore Earth to its Eden state, right? And then and Adam was going to come back, and everyone was going to come back, and we were going to just like live on Earth with God and the Messiah, and it was going to be back to Eden, right?
Okay.
There wasn't going to be like heaven as we understand it. Yeah. But yeah, folks, my whole point is that Paul is saying to the Thessalonians that is what is going to happen when Jesus returns. He's not going to like scoop some of us up and leave. He is coming here to stay. Right. And so the question is not who goes with him, but rather who gets to go out and meet him and bring him back down to us, to all of us, right? The only difference is that he's not coming on a road to take possession of a city. He's coming from the heavens to take possession of the earth, right?
So who's left behind?
Nobody is left behind. Like everybody's like there is no question of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's me thinking about it from an American standpoint, and everyone's equal, and there's no one who's screwed over. I don't know if I can accept that.
Yeah. See, your American blood is boiling now. Right. It's like, what? Nobody is excluded? You mean all of the brown people too? Grr. Yeah. Grr. But yeah, folks. Again, like I sound like a broken record, but like this was understood by the first readers who lived this culture every day, right? They knew the exact cultural like event that Paul was describing, right? And also, like in America, where the rapture is styled as this kind of like secret, confusing event, it's like, oh, where did all the people go, right? Every time the second coming is mentioned in the Bible, it's like this big, obvious event, right? With angels calling out and trumpets, sounding and everything like that, right? So it's not a secret. It's like, hey, everybody here, look, like this is happening right now.
Right.
All right. So yeah. But yeah, okay. So most people today are taking it that way. They're like, well, this is obviously like a cultural reference that first readers understood, right? Other scholars are looking at it a little bit differently. But even though they're looking at it differently, it's still not rapture-like, right? It's this other thing. So what they're saying is that Paul could have been referring to some now ancient Jewish ideas that God's chosen people will literally be granted the ability to fly at the end of days, right? As referenced in Isaiah chapter 60, verse 8, it says, "Who are those that fly like a cloud, like doves to their coats?" This is actually a reference to the white sails of a ship bringing the Israelites back from a diaspora. Later Jewish theologians interpreted this literally and thus apocalyptically.
That would become part of the tribulation, end times, apocalypse stuff that we see in Revelation, is that the Jews have to come back, or the Israelites have to come back from a diaspora.
Yeah, right. And then we got another passage, this is from the Talmud, says, in the future, the Holy One will lift Jerusalem 3 parasangs high. And I get we don't know.
What's a parasang?
I don't. Nothing. What's a parasang with you? I imagine it's either larger or smaller than a cubit, which we also don't have. See how you like it is impossible to apply this to like current modern life, right? So 3 parasangs high, as it is said, and then she, Jerusalem, the city, shall rise and stay in her place. So they interpreted this as like Jerusalem becoming a floating city, right? Which the chosen people will be able to reach because they can fly, right? This idea is repeated in multiple rabbinic texts, not just the Talmud, but again, all of these texts came way after this letter by Paul.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Also, okay, I'm just going to drop this here. Why do we just assume that ancient cultures didn't have metaphors?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like, do we think they're too stupid, too primitive? Like, when I hear, good news, it feels like I'm walking on air.
Mm-hmm.
But we see that passage in the Bible, like, no. Like they didn't understand metaphors. Like, this must be literal, right? Similes and metaphors are and poetic writing, that's the sign of a civilized culture, right? Like, I've seen the movies. They don't even have cell phones, right? I've seen the Ten Commandments, right?
A lot of that could be solved if
Yeah.
Moses had a cell phone and could just
Right.
text down the mountain, yeah.
But like, it's this weird, like, double judgment we do where we put the people of the Bible up on this pedestal, like, like they're so famous and so holy. But then at the same time, we're like, no, this can't be a metaphor. They don't know what that is. It's like no, when Isaiah calls that Babylonian king Lucifer, that's not sarcasm. Sarcasm wasn't invented yet, right? People were simpler back then. Like, do you see how like we're actually like insulting the people of the Bible by assuming everything they say is literal? Like, people, like a floating city and people are going to fly up to it and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's all that they're capable of understanding,
Yeah, I guess unless we are told ahead of time, it is figurative language. So when Jesus says, then Jesus said a parable.
Right.
We're like, okay, there's not actually, this isn't a real story. This isn't a true story of a Samaritan who turned good or was actually good when he expected to be bad. There wasn't a true story of a prodigal son, or like Aesop's fables. Like, we have to be told ahead of time that this is fable and there's not actually a lion who's helped by a mouse get the thorn out.
Right. Yeah. But then, I mean, like you mentioned those, right? The Good Samaritan, the prodigal son. I don't think Jesus had titles for those, right? Like,
No,
I think
he just started telling the story, right?
Yeah. And so he might not even say, it's like, okay, well, let me tell you a parable, like a story that actually didn't happen. Like, he might just start. And the folks back then understood that it was a parable. They didn't need to be told.
Well, yeah, exactly. And the texts are written in a way that's like, he's telling somebody, and someone in the crowd is too literal minded, and then the people at home are the smart ones for understanding that it's not literally talking about the person in the story; it's talking about them.
Right. Yeah. It was like, so what is like, my father's room has many. Oh no, my father's house has many rooms, right? And then somebody is like, well, I know your father. He's Joseph.
Right, Joseph.
He's got a small house.
Yeah, you got 2 rooms. I've been there.
But then it was like, no, my father. So us readers are like, oh, I see what he's doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah. Either way, folks, none of these scholars. So either way, whether we are making a reference to a cultural event where everyone in the city goes out to meet the king and then brings them back, right? Or we look at these other rabbinic texts which talk about the chosen people being able to fly and living in a holy city. Neither of those seem to be describing a rapture,
right,
as we understand it today, right? And the fact that in 1 Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 52, he says,
"In my house, we called it 1 Corinthians."
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
No, that's what Trump said.
Really?
This is such old news. This is from the first term. Don't worry about it.
Oh my God.
He said 2 Corinthians and 2 Corinthians, and people were like Christians who are familiar with Corinthians would say 1st and 2nd Corinthians, and he would say, no, in my house we called it 2 Corinthians.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's not that he just messed up on Mike and
right.
Jesus.
Never mind, that's old news. That's first term stuff.
You know what that's going to do? You know what that's going to do, Keenan?
What?
Is now other Christians are going to be calling it 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians.
Right.
Jesus.
No, let's not worry. That's from last decade.
Okay.
Because that's how long we've been in.
That's from part
in
1.
The Trump administration, yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, 1 Corinthians.
Yes, it says.
15:52.
Yeah, 15:52. It says, "For the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed." Right. So this seems to be talking about like our bodies becoming eternal, right? And so scholars wonder if the taken up into the clouds part is like a separate part where the emissaries escort Jesus back to the earth. So the idea of being teleported away would probably have been like unthinkable to Paul. Right? Because of that, the bodies will be raised imperishable and we will be changed. Right? So that's talking about like our bodies, like our dead bodies, like we get our bodies back.
Right.
Right? And so we're not just spirits up in like angel-esque, spirits up in heaven,
Right.
All right. So it's not in Revelation. it's not in Thessalonians. Surely it must be in the Gospels, right?
Everything's in there, yeah.
The heart of the Bible, right? Like, surely Jesus himself must have talked about the rapture. He didn't, and don't call me Shirley. Okay, but no. Let's look at the most often cited passages in the Gospels here. We got Matthew chapter 24, verses 40 to 42, right? Quote, then 2 will be in the field, 1 will be taken, 1 will be left. 2 women will be grinding meal together, 1 will be taken and 1 will be left, right? Keep awake. Woke. Question mark? I don't know.
Yeah, stay woke, fam.
Yeah, stay woke. Therefore, keep awake, therefore, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. Right? So this verse in particular has lended to the idea of people suddenly disappearing. Right? But if you read the passage, it never specifies who is being taken, right? There's nothing in the passage to indicate if it's the good people or the bad people, right? And also who is taking them, and why are they being taken, and where are they being taken?
Yeah, I've been familiar with this passage, but have never ever equated it with a rapture or an end times idea.
It sounds like a bad thing. It sounds like, like watch out, well, like somebody's going to get taken.
Right, but again, like I've never read it as literally taken. I mean, it's 1 will die, 1 will be left, and like I think that the second part is the important part. Like you don't know on what day you're coming, that you're going to die. So stay vigilant and always try to be good. I mean,
oh, so you're talking about like it's not even talking about like. It's not talking about either of those things. It's just talking like possibly about the day of your personal individual death.
Right. I've never read it that as being about the rapture. So it's interesting to go back and look at it in that terms because I don't personally think that that's what this is about.
And I mean, folks, okay, like we're playing around with this because that's what people do with the Bible. They try to find like stuff that's currently happening and squeeze it into the scripture. Folks, I mean, it's 2025 in the United States and people are being disappeared. Faceless soldiers are showing up at schools, at job sites, at churches, and kidnapping people, not arresting. There's never a trial, right? And often they don't even know who they're grabbing up. It's completely random because they have a quota of 3,000 people a day, and that is true. So citizens, non-citizens, women, children, the elderly, the hospitalized, right? They're taking people from their hospital beds, kids with cancer who are in the middle of treatment, and we don't know who these people are who are taking them because they wear masks and they're not required to identify themselves. And because of that, there have been countless cases where people have impersonated these ICE agents and kidnapped and raped and tortured women and kids. This is the reality of 2025 America. People really and truly are disappearing. And those that are left behind are devastated. Their hearts have been ripped apart. And we are just, sitting around like nothing is happening, talking about the rapture, right? And I feel like we all need to, I'm going to say we need to wake up, folks. Like it says in Matthew, keep awake for you do not know, the day or the hour. And you think I'm talking about like we don't know the day or the hour, like when we're going to disappear. Like, no. Like these people, if you believe in this religion, like if you're an actual Christian who believes that those who suffer and are persecuted on earth will be rewarded in heaven, those people who are getting snatched up right now by our government, they're going to be better off than you. They're going to be better off than folks with like, their alligator Alcatraz hats, taking pictures in front of that sign, right? I don't know, like standing in front of that sign, but like also like calling themselves Christians, right? And that's the thing that baffles me, right? It's like these folks are the ones who think they're going to be like raptured up, right? And again, folks, I mean, it's like if this is real, and quite a lot of people believe it is, I don't know. I think we got to do what Matthew says and wake up because I think quite a lot of folks who believe that the rapture is coming and who believe that, they're going to be chosen and, and taken up are going to be very disappointed if it does happen. But yeah, I feel like a lot of us are focusing on looking for biblical signs as we have like already interpreted them. And we're missing like a lot of bad things that are happening and a lot of opportunities for good or combating the bad because we're so focused on like literal interpretations and stuff, Yeah. Anyway, but okay, we're still not done with the Bible. We got a passage in Luke that says, quote, on that day, no one who is on the roof of his house with his goods inside should go down to get them. Likewise, no one in the field should go back for anything. Remember Lot's wife. This is Luke chapter 17, verses 31 to 32.
All right. Which of Lot's wives?
The one that everybody remembers,
Yeah.
even though she's not named.
One of the most famous women in the Bible. One of the most famous women in history.
Yeah.
No name. No, but she looks back, she's told not to, and then gets turned into a pillar of salt.
Yep. Yeah. So, okay. So, because people are aligning these passages, so the passage in Matthew, right, about one will be taken, one will be left, and the passage in Luke, right, because they're relating them with First Thessalonians, they assume that the ones being snatched away are being rescued and escaping danger. But in both of these texts, the metaphor seems to be, I think we've already kind of like alluded to it, about surviving danger yourself, right? Like if there's a fire or a flood or an earthquake and you're on the roof, don't go back into the house to get your stuff, right? If you're out in the field, don't go back into the house, right? If you're already out of the house, don't go back to the fucking house.
I worry that if I ever had a minor problem on a plane, I would instinctively like reach for my laptop, even though like intellectually I know you're not supposed to, obviously.
Right.
Don't
Yeah.
do that, right?
Right.
But you see these people who get off the plane with their luggage when the plane's on fire.
And they grab their, yeah. It's my Stanley Cup. Oh my God.
Right. I hope I do not do that when I get into a plane crash.
When.
I'm just assuming, yeah.
But yeah, we were talking about the passage in Matthew, right? And actually, yes, the verse right before the passage I read is clearly talking about a flood, right? So this is Matthew chapter 24, verses 37 through 39, right? It says, "But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." So Jesus is comparing his second coming to Noah's flood. So the left behind are the lucky ones. The rest were swept away. Noah and his family were left behind. All right, Noah played by Nick Cage.
That's right. It's like,
well, there's nobody to pilot this ark.
Right. I'm going to get real drunk and you're going to have to wrestle me.
Yeah. He says to the angel of the Lord.
Was that Noah or was that Nick Cage?
You know what? I don't know what Noah sounded like, so I can't say. Yeah. But okay, we have a parallel text here. This is Luke chapter 17, verses 34 to 37, right? It says, "I tell you, in that night there shall be two men in one bed. The one shall be taken and the other shall be left. Two women shall be grinding together. The one shall be taken and the other left. Two men shall be in the field. The one shall be taken and the other left. And they answered and said unto him, Where, Lord? And he said unto them, Wheresoever the body is, thither with the eagles be gathered together. So people are saying he's actually talking about being taken by death. Right. So you could rewrite left behind as spared. Right. So one shall be taken and one shall be spared. Right. Yeah.
That's how I read them. And again, like other people have talked about this in terms of like Christ's prophecies about an apocalypse in some time. And I can understand that, but the idea of a rapture, I don't understand. So until we were covering this, and putting everything into a rapturous context, I was like, I didn't think there was any mention of a rapture in the Gospels at all.
That kind of actually makes me think about Stephen King's The Stand again, because I mean, there isn't a rapture in that book, but like 90% of the world dies from a plague, and it's the story is about the people who are left behind. But it's like that kind of fits both interpretations, right? Because it's almost like you could say like the ones who died are the lucky ones, right? And they were taken by God because they died, right? They didn't float up to heaven, right?
But we're trying to make this all work. We're trying to get all of these things to fit together, which I think can cause some problems. It's a very human idea, I think, right? You want all of this weirdness in the theology to be simple.
Yes. Right. Going all the way back to like there are two creation stories, right?
Right.
It's like one where God creates man and woman at the same time equally, and then one where he gets the rib out of Adam.
Right. And when we're talking about like looking forward to how it's going to end, which it in large extent is the point of some of these religions, right? It's like the ending is more important than the beginning to a lot of people, right? And you want to have these things fit together, and it's like. I don't know. Again, I'm trying not to be judgy, but like if there is weirdness in the how these are not talking to each other properly, the impulse is not to like accept and say like, hey, the prophecies are strange because we're talking about this like unknowable, like not just because you can't predict it, but unknowable because it's the hand of God, you know, and like how can we possibly explain it properly? But instead, we're trying to very much humanize it and explain it and make all of these disparate parts of it fit together.
Right.
It's more comforting that way than to be like, gosh, some say it's this and some say it's this, and because we're talking about God, all of that is true, right? Instead, it's like, no, we have to, you know, sort of twist and make these square pegs fit into round holes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so the rapture is not mentioned in Revelation.
Right.
I think that we already knew. And it is not mentioned in Thessalonians. Right. And it is not mentioned by Jesus in any of the Gospels.
Right.
Right. So again, folks, so much of the Bible is lost because of time, because the context is no longer there, right? It's an objective fact that some parts of the Bible are simply rules to follow for your earthly day-to-day life, right? Like what foods to eat, what clothes to wear, how to bury your dead, how to get married, what to do when someone is sick, what to do when you're sad, measurements in a building. What was the other one? Cubits and
Parsangs.
Parsangs. Yeah, there we go. Right? Instructions for cooking, amounts doled out for a sacrifice, right? What to do if there's a natural disaster. Don't go back into the fucking house. It was very clear.
And of course, my favorite, what if you are fighting with another man and his wife comes out to stop him and she accidentally touches your genitals?
Yes. Like, happens 3 times a day at least.
But that is one of the rules in the Bible.
Yeah. But see, that's what we mean. It's like stuff that we don't have to worry about anymore because that's not happening. Yeah. I don't know how often that must have been.
Apparently not enough to write in there.
All right. We gotta write some rules down for this. But yeah, folks, all of that.
You don't want to know what the Bible says about that?
Yeah.
I've just been waiting.
Right. Boy, I'm getting caught like trying to sneak past some of this stuff. Okay.
Why don't you guess?
I'm guessing punish the woman in some way.
Yeah, by cutting her hand off.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that woman's hand is no more.
Jeez.
That's Deuteronomy.
There you go. So we don't take that part seriously anymore, folks. So why are we taking this other stuff seriously? I don't know. But okay, yeah. So like I was saying, all of this is cultural. It's it's instructional. It's historical, but it is no longer contextual, right? That part is lost to us. And so again and again, like you're saying, Keenan, we try to make it metaphorical, right? Because some of them are metaphorical, and that's the frustrating part, right? The parables of Jesus, the fig tree, the Good Samaritan, right? Those are metaphors, which is funny because back then, right, people were taking those literally, like you said, right? It seems like all through history, when it comes to Scripture, we're all just so dumb, right? If it's a metaphor, we take it literally, and if it's a literal thing, like a cultural how-to, like what to wear at a wedding, or how many cubits to build something, we think it's a metaphor, right? Because we don't use cubits anymore, and we're not building anything. But every part of this book has to be about me, a white guy in Woodland Hills. Right? Now, what I'm saying, like the only way that you can interpret the Matthew and Luke passages as rapture passages is if you pair them with the Thessalonians passage, but it's very likely that the writers of Matthew and Luke weren't even thinking about that, right? If you can ask Matthew, hey, like, were you making like a callback to Thessalonians? Actually, no. That wouldn't be, because that would be before, right?
No, that threw me off for a lot of this. But Thessalonians is written before the Gospels, but the Gospels are put in the book first because of the story of Jesus. Yes,
okay.
Exactly. I had the exact same reaction.
Okay. So if you asked Matthew, it's like, hey, were you doing like a callback to Thessalonians?
Right.
He might be like, what? No. If there's a flood, don't go back to your fucking house. All right. But folks, we do this all the time. Like where have we seen this before, listeners? It's how our devil was made piece by piece. We took Lucifer, the morning star, aka the planet Venus, from Isaiah 14:12, and we smashed that together with the fallen angel Semyaza from the Book of Enoch, and then we double back and we pick up that snake from the beginning, right? And by this time we've been on the road for like 40 days and 40 nights, and this car is getting crowded, right? And Lucifer's hungry and the snake's got to pee. So we see a sign that says "Eat at Job's." And we pull in, and the guy behind the counter, right, his little name tag says "The Satan," right? It's not capitalized. It's weird. And it's weird that there's a "the" in his name, right? But we're like, hey, we like you. You can come too. And he does. And we're driving along and we get into a small southern town where everybody voted the exact same way. And there's a statue of the guy that they voted for in the middle of the town. And underneath is a plaque that says Lord of the Skies. And our boys stop, and Semyaza, because he's such a Satan, he takes out some spray paint and he crosses out skies and he writes flies. And he's like, get it? This guy's actually a giant piece of shit. And all his followers are like flies or maggots. And then the fucking statue comes to life, and it's Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies, and now he's here too. And they all get back into the car and head to the beach, and Satan wants to get out and walk on the sand, and he does. And he gets right up to the water, and he looks out, and he's emotional, just looking at the waves. And he's like, guys, I know I'm just a fry cook at Job's. I'm not even the fry cook. But he's like, thank you for taking me on this road trip. And he turns around to look at all of them, and there's no one there. He's all alone. Except there's 4 sets of footprints in the sand. And he's like, but wait, how come there's only 4? And Jesus says to him, that's because one of you is a snake. I don't even know where I was going with that. But yeah, folks, what I'm saying is we really like to mix and match these passages, especially when, doing so gets us closer to the thing that we want to be true, like a rapture or a devil.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of that. So, I mean, as we go forward and we look at, how people interpret the rapture, can we say invented at some point? They invented the rapture? Okay. Without being disrespectful. When they invent the rapture, they need a biblical base to find it from. So they find, some passages and then they ignore other passages. I mean, that just makes sense. We've seen that happen again and again and again.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So if not the Bible, where did the idea of a rapture actually come from? Well, that is going to be the subject of next week's episode.
Oh, but I have an answer.
Oh, where?
The rapture rap comes from Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh my God. Do you actually have it?
The Raptor rap. I'm a raptor, doing what I can, going to eat everything to the appearance of man. Yo, see me, I'm living beneath the soil. I'll be back, but I'm coming back as oil.
There we go. Now, wait. We have to rewrite this.
I don't see why.
Because that's what you do with the Bible. We just spent an hour and 14 minutes talking about that. Hang on. Raptor rap, because I heard some stuff in there that actually really, really works.
All right, you're trying to jam it all together, huh?
Yeah. Hang on. Come on, give me it. Yes, except all cookies.
For whatever it is, who cares what it is?
Okay. All right. See. So it's I'm the rapture.
The rapture. Mm-hmm.
Doing what I can. That stays the same.
Stays the same.
Right. Gonna facilitate the disappearance of man.
All right.
Yo, keep awake. Keep an open mind. Because Jesus is coming. You don't want to be left behind.
Left behind.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or left behind.
Yes.
I'll just be a hip old granny who could hip hop, bebop, dance till you drop, and yo, make a wicked cup of cocoa.
Yeah.
It's always weird how she says cocoa like that.
Yeah. I think it's to rhyme with yo. I don't think it's any more complicated than that. I think we decided in our other episode that one of them is the Antichrist and one of them is the beast, right?
Mrs. Doubtfire is the Antichrist and
I
think the beast?
No, I think Daniel is the Antichrist. And Mrs. Doubtfire is the beast.
Right, because everyone praises him as a good father, when he's clearly not.
Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah, we switch him. Yes. Yeah, Mrs. Doubtfire is the Antichrist, is what we're trying to say, folks. And it took this many seasons just to get there. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. We're going to get a little bit more into the weeds, into the history of the American evangelicals. We're not even going to start in America. We're going back to merry old England, and we're going to be looking at its origins there. Yeah, but that is next week. Yeah. So stick around. Let's hope the rapture doesn't happen before that episode comes out.
No, they'll still all be here. If you're listening to this, you're not going to heaven.
That's how we're going to have to open it. It's like, so, welcome back, everybody. Our condolences. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, for now, folks, this has been another episode of The Devil's Details. I have been Lester Ryan Clark. You can summon me on all the socials as Lester Ryan Clark.
And I've been Keenan Diaz. You can invoke me on Instagram and Letterboxd as Howdy Keenan.
Yeah, for more of our shows and other really cool podcasts, go to truestory.fm and feel free to drop us a message at bananaforscalemail, that's MAIL, @gmail.com. We got our Facebook listener group, Banana for Scale. That's a community for all of our shows, including this one. It's a private group, but just a request to join, and we'll let you into the infernal family. If you want more, consider joining us at truestory.fm/join and look for Banana for Scale. That's us. You get bonus episodes of all our shows, access to our Discord, and you get your episodes a week early and ad-free. Pretty cool. Just $5. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? We're not even asking for your souls. Just give us a 5-pentagram rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show. That and sharing the show by word of mouth or on social media helps our little podcast grow and find more cool people like you. All right, folks, until next week, love and hisses. Mwah.